Hello, my name is Josh Giguere, and we're going to talk about homework this year. I'm one of the BCBAs in our ABA department for anyone who doesn't know me. Before we get started, I do want to give full credit to Jasmine Birch for creating this presentation, and we're going to start talking about homework at Life now. So as anyone who was here last year knows, last year we tried doing homework here at Life for the first time, and it went pretty well, but there was definitely some lessons that we learned. So this year we've got some ideas to make homework more functional for everybody. The purpose of this training or this presentation is just to talk about what homework's going to look like this year, introduce you to the Achieve curriculum, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, and then provide some extra support outside of the classroom. If you have any additional questions at the end of this presentation, feel free to ask your teacher, and then they can direct their questions to myself and Miss Jasmine. Okay, so each week for homework, there's going to be one math assignment, one language arts assignment, and one Achieve assignment. The goal for these is to try to create a blend of learning objectives that our students can work on at home without creating an undue burden on families. If the homework ever does feel like a burden or like it's too much, please reach out to your teacher and see if there's any modifications that they can make. We don't want this to be stressful. We want this to be a tool to help and encourage additional learning at home. We know that when there's follow through on the things we're working on here at the center in the home environment, then it creates even better learning outcomes for our learners, and that's what we want. Okay, so math and language arts are both pretty self-explanatory, but let's talk about Achieve. Achieve is a tool created by a behavior analyst, also known as a BCBA, that is meant to help parents and guardians use strategies from applied behavior analysis, or ABA, to make real impacts for their learners. And I know ABA can be a little bit of a hot topic, especially for anyone who's had bad experiences with ABA or who's heard about bad experiences with ABA. It can be a little bit of a scary word. ABA is just strategies derived from the science of human behavior and human learning. And these strategies are a tool, which, like any other tool, can be used poorly. Here at Life, we believe that these strategies can be used for good, and as long as they're used well with proper oversight and ethical considerations, can be very powerful to encourage ongoing learning. ABA in and of itself does not consist of manipulation or coercion or abuse. And it's not just for individuals with disabilities. ABA strategies work on anyone, and anyone can use them. Again, ABA is a relatively new practicing field, just started in around the 1960s. So there was some growing pains at first, but the field has made a lot of improvements since then, especially in the last 20 to 30 years, including a robust ethics code for BCBAs and things along those lines. But there are definitely legitimate horror stories out there. So just be conscious that if you have heard of those or you're skeptical of ABA, know that not everyone has had that bad experience, and that here at Life, we are very transparent about the way we're using ABA. So if you ever have questions about those things, feel free to reach out to any of our leadership here. Reach out to Miss Jasmine, our Academy BCBA. Feel free to reach out to me, and we'd be happy to kind of talk those things through with you. One thing to note about Achieve, it does use the language of BCBA throughout as the person that you should go to with questions or the person to collaborate care with. Because this is going to be part of our homework, we encourage you to reach out to your learner's teacher if you have any questions. So anywhere it says BCBA, just substitute in your mind and know that that means teacher in this context. Okay. The Achieve curriculum itself is made up of short packets, each of them roughly 6 to 8 pages. They're pretty short, should be able to quickly skim them, understand the information, and move on. We don't want this to be taking you super long. Some example pages are up here on the screen. On the left is a page about sustainable parenting. On the right is one about sibling relationships. Those are both cover pages, so the first page of a packet. The one in the middle is pulled from partway through a packet, and that's about what ABA is. And we've already kind of talked about those things, but it just reiterates those topics. So each time a packet gets sent home, it'll be 6 to 8 pages. You can review it quickly. It shouldn't be too much of a time burden, is our hope. But it's not only going to be packets sent home. Our goal is to send home 1 packet per month, maybe 2 per month, depending on the month. But we don't want to be sending home packets every week. So what will happen is you'll get a packet for 1 week, you'll review it, you'll let your teacher know if you have any questions. There'll be some way to acknowledge that you reviewed the information. And then future weeks, you would then get expansion activities to help you put those skills that you learned about in the packet into practice with your learner. Again, these are meant to be short, easy activities. They're not meant to take a lot of time. So here's an example of one focused on goal writing. So potentially for this example, if you were to get a packet the week before about setting goals and how to set effective goals, things like that, then this week you would get an expansion activity where you maybe write down some goals that you want to work on with your learner. Or if you already did an activity about writing down goals, then maybe the next week would be this one here is writing down how you worked on each of those goals at least once for each day of the week. Okay. If you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out to myself or Miss Jasmine, our Academy BCBA directly, or talk to your teacher. They're going to be the ones walking alongside you and your learner throughout the year. So please reach out to them if you have anything else.